joining us on Real Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Rollins Fells. And on today's episode, we are going to talk about being decidedly undecided. That's right. Have you ever been in a place where you just have not made up your mind? Well, I invite you to stay tuned when we come back on Real Talk, and I cannot wait to introduce you to our special guest that will be joining the show today. Thank you for staying tuned. So today on Real Talk, we are going to be discussing a topic that I'm very passionate about. I'm going to let you in on a little bit more about who I am as a person and introduce you to a very special guest. Before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors, The Listening Tree, Strategically Inspired Solutions, Griff's Tours, and Faith Strength Jewels Boutique. So let's get started. Today, I have my very special guest, Miss JoWanda Rollins Williams, joining me today. Do you see the resemblance? This is my oldest child. This is my daughter. And so I'm very pleased that, and part of my liberating my legacy, that she is able to join us today. And so, Jordan, in the conversation about being decidedly undecided, I am going to share some of our inside secrets. So I have a go, 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 go mentality. Is that right?
Yes.
My mind is constantly on the next thing, even before I'm finished with the first one. I am also that to-do list person. I make a to-do list. I then go back and add stuff on the list that I've already done just so I can check it off. I'm that person. And so that go, go, go mentality has suited me well. And so when I was very young, I was that kid that wanted to do everything. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to do mass communications. I even wanted to be an astronaut. Like, really, I wanted to be an astronaut. You're judging me, but I did. I envisioned going into outer space as a teacher, taking pictures, bringing it back and sharing it with the world. And while that sounded really crazy to some folks, it remained on my to-do list. And so in my go, 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 I graduated from high school. I went to the Hampton University, which I am proudly representing today, where I did a double major. My first degree was in psychology. My second degree was in education. And again, because I'm that go, 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 I added with the counseling strand. Graduated from there 4 years, added the 5th year to do a master's in teaching, and then came back home. Did national board certification to make sure that I had lots of options. Finished that in year 3. And then Jordan was introduced into my life and into my presence and my being, my world. She is my rock, my A1 from day one. And the journey that she went on me with next in my go, go, go mentality was my doctorate degree. Do you remember that?
Yes, it was a while ago.
It was. What's a memory that you have when Mom was in that doctorate program, just pushing?
Climbing into the back of the desk chair
Yeah.
and falling asleep.
You were so little then. We probably shouldn't try that now. But yeah, so I would be in the study room working on my papers, and Jordan would literally climb in the back of my chair and fall asleep on my back as I was doing my work. We have a lot of great memories. But again, I wouldn't try that now. And so after finishing that doctorate degree, it was a life of politics. It was a life of business. And so having that push and that drive and that hustle and that grind, it's a great thing. And I'm not taking anything away from that. But I've asked Jordan to come on the show today because as a parent, I've had to learn that yes, I am raising the bar. I am breaking glass ceilings for her. She will not be intimidated by that doctorate degree, but I have to give her permission to be herself. And so, Jordan, today's topic about decidedly undecided. What do you have in your mind and in your life that's on that to-do list that you have some question marks beside?
Well, I think going to college, like I don't know what I want to major in. I don't know really what I want to do after that, but I know that that's what I want to do. So I have to make some choices about that.
So I think that's important that you said that you have to make some choices and you have some things. And so let's talk for a moment about you. Can you tell them a little bit about your background? They've heard all about me, but tell them about the wonderful things that you're doing.
So when I was in middle school, I was a part of this program called ACE, which is an advanced program. So basically I would go to high school with about 4 or 5 credits that I wouldn't have to take in the high school. And then when I got to high school, I applied for the Chesapeake Bay Governor's School program and was accepted after a little bit of wait. And so with that, I'm doing marine environmental science mostly. And then in the ACE program, I got to do more of just general science, and that really exposed me to the engineering side of things. And CBGS is more of the environmental and marine things, which I find really interesting and entertaining, and I didn't know that until I was in governor's school. So I'll be graduating next year with my associate's degree before I get my high school diploma, which is really, really awesome because of my AP, my DE, and my governor's school classes. So.
Awesome. And so let's break down some of those acronyms. So what does AP stand for?
Advanced placement. Basically with those, there's a certain requirement to get into the class, and then at the end of the course you take a test. If you get a 3 or higher, you get the credit. If not, you took the class but you don't get the college credit for it. With DE, that's dual enrollment, so you're enrolled in your high school and in a college, usually community colleges. And if you maintain a C or higher in the class, you get the credit, so you don't have to take a test. Gotcha. But you have to keep your grades up.
And so I think it's important. I'm so proud of you because while you haven't figured out what college you want to go to, and I highly recommend Hampton University. My husband is also a Hampton graduate, and any of you, you're probably laughing at home because if you know a Hamptonian, you know that we are proud about rocking our blue and white. And so I have taken her to campus, and what do you think about the campus?
It's really pretty, honestly. I like the water, the structures.
Yeah, the campus is really pretty. And the thing about it is, I'm not forcing her to go to Hampton University just because I went there, right?
Right.
Just because that was my path does not necessarily mean that it's her path, but I am a living testimony of the great things that that university has to offer. It's a small campus. I love being near the water when I need to process. My place is what? The beach. Yeah. And so it's nothing for us to pack up, grab some chicken wings and some Hawaiian rolls, get some knee-high grape soda, and head off to the beach. So to be in a school setting around water was really great for me. But I think that with all the things that you have shared with your governor's school and then putting in that work at middle school, it's really giving you the opportunity to decide, to be undecided about what you want to do.
I agree.
You agree? Do you think that your experiences will give you lots of options?
Oh, definitely. There's so many fields that I didn't even know that I was interested in. I'm now looking really deep into. So the whole STEM, that's my arena.
Awesome. Well, we are going to come back in just a moment, and we're going to dive into more conversation with my beautiful daughter, JoWanda Rollins Williams, and our topic, Decidedly Undecided. Real Talk with Dr. Rollins Fells. It's a place where we're going to have honest conversations that reframe reality, empower vision, activate faith, and liberate legacy. I'll see you then. Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned in with us, where I'm here live on set with JoWanda Rollins Williams, my beautiful daughter, and we are talking about the topic of being decidedly undecided. And so, Jordan, before we left, you were telling us about some of your school endeavors, and you mentioned that you're going to be graduating. Tell us that part again.
I'll graduate with my associate's degree before I get my high school diploma.
Awesome. And so one of the things that we share in our relationship is that honesty piece. And so what I have told her in terms of not really knowing what she wants to do is the fact that she's bought herself some time. You have always applied yourself to your schoolwork, and it's not because I'm your mom or that I was a teacher, and at one point I was her teacher. That's a whole nother show, right? Yeah. Surviving the classroom with your mom, and being an example of different learning contexts. And so thank you for that. You've been gracious. But in addition to the other opportunities that you've given yourself because you've worked hard, can you talk about some of the other activities that you're involved in?
Well, that's kind of a lot, but I'll just name a few. Okay. So 4-H is a program that involves youth in many different fields or interests. So if you name it, there's a club for it. And if there's not a club for it, you can make a club in your community. And it's really about, what do you want to do? What do you like to do? And the connections within that with other 4-H members. And the National Beta Club is a service-oriented organization, but there's chapters and clubs everywhere. And we all get together at nationals and show our service projects. And if you, like with 4-H, if there's something that you're interested in, there's probably a competition for it. And it's about really just lifting each other up while also serving our communities as well.
Right. And so I think that's important, and I wanted Jordan to share that, because even though we're in a place where we might not have certain things with a final answer, that doesn't mean that you're sitting and doing absolutely nothing, right? Yeah. Stagnation is not an option. I can remember going on one of your field trips, and they were talking about this. It was a body of water. It was completely still. It was crystal clear. And what they said, I complimented, like, oh, look at that. It's really beautiful. And they said it's stagnant, meaning that nothing can actually live there. And that was just really powerful. And so I'm glad that you are of the mindset of just being involved in 4-H and being involved in Beta, because I think it's helping you to become very well-rounded. And really looking at your skill set. And so can you talk about some of the things that you've done with 4-H? Perhaps like the courses that you've taught?
So with 4-H, I really work with our sewing club that we have in our community. I'm the president right now, actually. But basically with that, at formal club meetings, the process of going through, okay, this is how we go through an agenda. This is how you decide things in this group setting in this formal way, kind of thing. And then in our less formal meetings where we just kind of get together and sew, helping our newer members and things like that. So really a lot of leadership skills come with that, and organizational skills, because you have to be organized.
Right. And so for all the parents out there, I could spend a lot of time on, where's the application and what are we applying to today and what scholarships and what's the deadline? And I would totally miss the opportunity to have her build leadership capacity in the way that she's speaking about. And so Jordan, on that note, from your perspective, representing your generation, what is something that you want my generation and older to know about this time in life where you're really trying to figure it out?
We don't know. We have no idea. And if we do, it'll probably most definitely change. So just kind of be patient. Like I'm trying to figure it out at the same time that you are.
That's fair.
So if you can help me lay out the options, help me figure out what I can do. And how I can get to those places that I'm thinking about, then I think it'll be okay.
So you mean, Jordan, what do you want to do? Jordan, what do you want to do when you grow up? Jordan, what about your short-term plans? Your long-term plans? Your checklist? Your funding? Your wardrobe?
Yeah, not helpful.
Not helpful?
I don't know the answers.
Right. And then on the flip side, we're probably asking those questions, real talk, because we don't know either. And it's like, I have this beautiful child, what is she going to do? Are you going to take care of me when I'm old? That kind of thing.
I hope so.
I hope so too. So thank you for being honest, and viewers at home, you're getting a sneak peek into what really goes on in our house and our real relationship. Like I said, Jordan has slept in the back of the chair, literally on my back while I've been working. And now, as she's getting older, the roles have changed. So I'm getting to go on field trips. I'm getting to stay up late. I'm getting to get the questions because we've had a bit of role reversal, right? Where it's like, Mom, I have to do this. What are you going to do, right? Are you coming? Are you not? So Jordan, part of what I heard in some of your activities when you talked about sewing and things like that is an appreciation for art.
Yeah.
And so there is something I think that's really cool that you do that I think a lot of our viewers would really appreciate. And so would you share your music background?
So I've been in music classes in school since 6th grade. First day of 6th grade, we had a kind of a test day to see, what instruments you like, what might you be interested in. And that was really go around to the different instruments, pick them up, blow into them, press the buttons. If it's a drum, hit it, and see if you like it. And I told my teacher that I wanted to be a percussionist, so a drummer. And I was like, but if that's full, if there's too many, I'll just play the flute. And that is not who I am. So she was like, Jordan, you can have the drums. You can play the drums. So that's what I've been doing since 6th grade. My freshman year of high school, I decided to join the marching band, where I played the biggest bass drum on our drum line, the only girl. And then the year after, I got to play a smaller one because I was captain, if that makes sense. So you get the harder parts on the smaller drums. And then from there, this past marching band season, I was the drum major, which is not the person who is in charge of percussion. That is the percussion captain, but the drum major is the person on the podium waving their arms, conducting. So I was in charge of the marching band.
Yay. And so I think it's really cool, and I wanted to share because from that perspective, she is a female drummer. And I know you can't see her height. She's all what? Are you finally 5 feet tall now?
Finally 5 feet.
Finally 5 feet tall with the biggest bass drum. And so there's a passion for music underlying all of that academic success. And so when we come back from the break, we're going to wrap up with some tips from a parent's perspective and from a youth's perspective on how to navigate the world of being decidedly undecided. Thank you for coming back with us, where I have my special guest, JoWanda Rollins Williams, and we are having a good time here on Real Talk today. I'm letting you in on some insider scoop as to our relationship, and is Dr. Rollins Fells really practicing what she preaches? That's really the question here. And so as we wrap up our last segment today, thank you, Jordan, for talking about your academic experiences and then some of the extracurricular things that you're doing. And I think for all of our young ladies out there in particular, I really wanted her to share, as I stated before the break, about being a female drummer. Because I think for so many of us, we don't give ourselves permission to explore outside of, a box. And I'm really proud of you for doing that. And give me a high five, because you're pretty awesome on the drums as well. Now, me, on the other hand, not so much. So I think me playing the drum sounds more like racket, and she's done a really good job. So now, before we go, I want to give some actual practical tips for our parents that are watching and for our youth. And so a couple of things that I want to just recap with you is that I stressed that it's okay to have that go, go, go and be goal oriented. That is my MO. That's who I am, and that's what I do. It's great to make your checklist and check them off and do like I do. Go back and add stuff that you've done, because that's some self-validation. Pat yourself on the back. Put a check, keep it moving. But I also stressed that being stagnant is really not a good option. So doing nothing is not really a choice that I advocate for. And so, like Jordan has shared, while she may not know what school she's going to, she knows that Hampton is an option. But there are other options as well. I throw that in there every chance I get, and she just smiles. And they have a really good band. Shout out to Hampton University's band. Just saying, Jordan.
Okay.
Parents, that's an example of what not to do or to do in moderation. But in all seriousness, one thing that we can do is to help our children to actually stop and to pause. And so there are times that we do a timeout and we do a staycay, or we actually do a vacation. And I ask everyone, what is it that you want to do? For me, I want to be by the pool in somebody's sun, and I want to read a book, and that's it. And so, Jordan, what's your favorite vacation answer?
I like to sleep. I don't get to do it very often with everything I have going on. So.
Yeah. And so guess what? I have to respect that a vacation for her is a timeout and let the child sleep. And that's okay, right? And have I done that for the most part?
Yeah.
See the disclaimer, for the most part. No, she sleeps during vacation, and that is perfectly fine, because the rest of the time she's grinding. Like she said, she's going to graduate with her associate's degree before her high school diploma. And so I think that I think there's some go in there too, even though that final outcome may not be decided yet. So stop, allow them to relax in whatever it is that helps them. And then the second tip I would give for parents is to help your child to process and to be aware of what processing looks like. So, Jordan, what are some things that when I see you doing that I know that Jordan is processing, and give her space? So how do you process?
I like to write things down just to kind of see everything like visually and physically there in front of me. But I also like to create things, if that makes sense. So
tell me more.
The other day I had a lot of like schoolwork to do, and I just needed a break, and I needed to think about, okay, what am I gonna devote my time to next? So I got a white t-shirt and some white socks and some tie-dye, and I tie-dyed for about an hour and a half maybe. So it wasn't long, but it was enough to kind of refocus and get myself together so I could actually do what I have to do.
Right.
I have some letters that spell out my name, and every now and then, if I need to, I'll just paint them. Just because.
Right. So painting and creating is. Thank you for that tip, Jordan. That's her way, and that's her space for processing. And then another tip for the adults, not just recognizing when they need to stop and how they process, but actually walking them through different choices. And so part of conversations that we've had and conversations with different folks in your life that serve as mentors to you, could you give us some insight into just some things that folks are pouring into you as they're helping you to process?
Yeah. So, well, really what that starts out as, is I tell them, okay, I have this decision to make. These are my options. This is what I can do. And then they're like, okay, well, what would be the outcome if you choose option A? Or, what are the consequences of choosing option B? And to help me kind of map that out so I can see what that would potentially look like, so I can choose what's best. Just choosing what's best for me and what I need to do at that time.
Right. And I want to point out that what I like about what Jordan said is not that her mentors or her parents are telling her what to do. And there's a time and place for that. So parents, don't get it wrong. Is there a time and a place where mom's just going to say, this is what we're doing?
Yes,
okay. And this is what we're not going to do. But in that space in life, when we're talking about what you're going to be when you grow up, where's your passion and where does that lie? We really need to guide the conversation with, well, tell me your thoughts. Okay, well, if this, then that, and helping them to problem solve. And so, Jordan, thank you. I appreciate you coming on the show today and spending some time with me. You have always had my back. And so today, as we close out on Real Talk with Dr. Rollins Fells, we always have celebrations. And today's celebration is going to be very special because it's all about you. Jordan just turned 17 years old, and I just wanted to tell you, happy birthday. I'm very proud of the young lady that you have grown into. I don't know what the future is going to look like, but what I do know is that everything you need, you already have, and I'm already very proud of you. And so thank you. And then as we go out, I also want to say congratulations to Angela Ward, who has also stepped out, and you were there for that as well, right? Mm-hmm. She is on fire. She got her logo together. She got her concept down on paper, right? Yeah. She even went through some examples, and she has launched in a moment, because in a moment anything can change. And so Angela, thank you so much for allowing Real Talk with Dr. Rollins Fells to join in your celebration. Now, if you want to have a moment at the end of our show to say happy birthday, happy anniversary, or congratulations, you can visit our website and send in your entry. And so Jordan perhaps will have to come back and do her celebration when she gets that associate's degree. And so thank you for watching. I hope today has given you some insight on being comfortable with deciding to be undecided. Thank you so much. Until next time.